Twist of Fate. Episode 1: A Fight for Life. In a quiet town in Lokoja, Nigeria, where the hum of life often masked the silent struggles beneath, lived an average life couple bound not just by love, but by the weight of survival. Alex was more than Dema's husband. He was her rock, her calm in every storm. But even the strongest bonds are tested when life demands more than they have to give. The night was cold, the air thick with the weight of an approaching storm. The car sped through the empty streets, its tires screeching against the wet asphalt. Inside, Dema clutched her stomach, her body trembling with pain. Sweat coated her forehead, and her breath came in sharp, shallow gasps. "Hold on, Dema. We're almost there." Alex's voice was tense, his knuckles white as he gripped the steering wheel. Dema's fingers dug into the seat. The contractions were unbearable. It felt like her body was splitting apart, like she was being torn open from the inside. They swerved into the hospital driveway, and before the car even came to a full stop, Alex threw open the door and ran to the other side. "Help! Somebody help us," he yelled as he flung the car door open. A team of nurses rushed toward them, their faces tight with urgency. Dema barely registered what was happening as they lifted her onto a stretcher. The pain was deafening. Voices blurred, lights flashed above her as they wheeled her down the hospital corridor. She felt Alex's grip on her hand, heard his voice, desperate, pleading. "Stay with me, Dema. Stay with me." Then, a sharp stab of pain shot through her body, and everything went black. Hours later, when Dema's eyes fluttered open, the room was quiet. The pain was still there, but it was dull now, numbed by medication. She turned her head slowly and saw Alex sitting in the chair beside her bed, his hands clasped together, his eyes staring blankly at the floor. She tried to speak, but her throat was dry. Then she remembered. Her baby. Her chest tightened as panic surged through her. "Alex," her voice was barely a whisper, but he heard it instantly. He looked up, his eyes dark and filled with something she couldn't quite place. "Where's the baby?" she asked, her voice trembling. Alex hesitated. That hesitation sent a chill down her spine. Before he could answer, the door creaked open, and the doctor stepped in. His face was unreadable, professional, but there was something in his eyes, something that made Dema's heart pound harder against her ribs. "Mrs. Dema," the doctor began, his voice calm but firm. "Your baby, she's alive. But there are complications." The room spun. Dema's fingers gripped the hospital sheets. "Complications?" she echoed, her voice barely audible. The doctor exhaled. "Your baby is struggling to breathe on her own. She has severe respiratory distress. We've placed her on oxygen, but it's critical." Dema's breath hitched. Oxygen. Critical. She felt Alex tense beside her, his fists clenching. "What does that mean?" Alex asked, his voice sharp. "How long will she need the oxygen?" The doctor's lips pressed into a thin line. "We can't say for certain. Some babies recover within days, others, weeks. It depends on how she responds to treatment." Dema's hands trembled. "Weeks?" "The medical bills," the doctor continued cautiously, glancing between the two of them. "Keeping her on oxygen for an extended period will be expensive." "Have you spoken with the hospital's financial department?" Alex let out a harsh breath. We can barely afford this room, and now you're telling us we need to pay for weeks of treatment? The doctor remained professional. I understand this is difficult, but the reality is, without oxygen, your baby won't survive. The words hit like a hammer. Dema turned to Alex, searching his face for reassurance, for hope. But all she saw was the weight of despair crushing him. Her heart pounded. She had carried this child for 9 months. She had felt every kick, every movement. She couldn't let go now. I don't care how much it costs, she whispered. She's our daughter, Alex. We have to save her. Alex stood abruptly, running his hands through his hair. Dema, be realistic. Where are we supposed to get that kind of money? Who's going to help us? We'll find a way, she said firmly, her voice shaking but determined. We always do. Alex laughed bitterly. Do we? He turned away, shaking his head. We're drowning, Dema. And now you want us to sink deeper? Her throat tightened. She's our child. And what if she doesn't make it? The words flew out of his mouth before he could stop them. Silence. The air in the room grew heavy. Dema felt her world tilt. Don't you dare say that. Alex exhaled harshly, looking at her with tired, hollow eyes. I'm saying the truth. We can't afford this, Dema. We never could. She stared at him, her heart breaking into pieces. How could he even think that way? The doctor cleared his throat. I'll give you both a moment, he said before stepping out of the room. The moment the door shut, Alex turned back to Dema, his expression unreadable. I need to think, he muttered. And then, before she could say anything, he walked out. Dema watched him go, a sinking feeling settling deep in her chest. And for the first time, she feared he might not come back. Will Alex return, or is this the beginning of Dema's worst nightmare?